I think Kevin Stefanski was defended yesterday by Mike Tomlin. Here is Mike Tomlin. This came out of what seemed to be left field. This was one of the things that people were talking about over in Little Italy yesterday, going, "Did you see this? Did you see this? They did this over here." And I'm like, "What?" I watched the video and went, "Oh boy." Here is Mike Tomlin yesterday in his press availability. Now they're getting ready to play the Bengals themselves, which some people have called it the Unk Bowl. Combined ages of the quarterbacks is 81 years old. Here's Mike Tomlin yesterday on Andrew Berry trading Joe Flacco.
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
So that was surprising.
I didn't believe it at first.
I thought it was an AI video.
I did. Well, I saw it from a reporter that covers the Steelers that I did not recognize. Yeah. I saw a reporter that I did not recognize that covers the Steelers. I clicked on his profile, and a lot of people that I follow this guy. I'm like, oh, yeah. Like maybe this guy's legit. And then I saw the video. I'm like, I still don't know that I believe that. And then I went to a Steelers reporter that I followed for a long time. I'm like, oh, this is like he actually said this. I had to go through three different sources before I believed that Mike Tomlin said this.
You guys don't want this AI. This is what sucks, is I have to double and triple check every single statement said.
I cannot stand it.
And some of the stuff is funny, like the one website that does the mashups and the fake press conferences, like when they had Jerry Jones firing Mike McCarthy last year, and he was talking about it, and he's like, tough bleep said the kitty, but the milk kept coming, and he's talking about Salisbury steak. That was hilarious. I'm going to show you that during a break. It's amazing. If you guys can find that on the interview and you want to, or on the internet and want to laugh, you guys go ahead and do that. That one's funny. But I don't like double and triple checking anything. I just want to make sure. Like the Kevin Grandier account, which is a famous fake account. Guys, please, Facebook friends, aunts, uncles, it's not real. He was not fired. Kevin Stefanski was not fired. He was not fired. I laugh, and then I'm like seeing like, according to this guy, Kevin Stefanski's fired. I'm like, no, he's not been fired. That's a fake account that gets all of us. No, it looks close. It looks like a person who would cover sports. The picture is right there, but no, it's not a real account. And so I got to keep going through this because of all the AI stuff that's out there. And especially, and that's not even the best of it. It's the other non-sports stuff. Like, guys, Jelly Roll is not singing at kids' funerals. It didn't happen. It did not happen. LeBron James did not see a custodian and give him $50 million and they cried together. That is not real. Tell your grandmother it's not a real thing. I'm sure both guys have done philanthropic things in their lives, but none of that is real. It's not real.
It's a shame that we have to double and triple check things.
God.
And with the Tomlin video, the thing that actually made me believe it was real is that there wasn't profanity in it. Because you bring up that Jerry Jones video, I'm like, the Tomlin thing, you can kind of, I think, talk yourself into thinking it sounds like AI. But all of those videos have profanity, and Tomlin didn't. And that was the one thing I'm like, this actually is real.
It didn't have profanity.
Like
so,
that is
now you're just giving them ideas. So there's we got to make it more real. So we got to take out the cussing.
Hear it again, just so you know.
Yeah, let's get here's Mike again on the just the quip on Andrew Berry and trading away Joe Flacco.
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
So he's not wrong. And you said there's one tack to it where they got to play each other this weekend, right, so he's probably a little annoyed by that.
I think part of this is Mike Tomlin defending Kevin Stefanski. Mm-hmm. I think that is part of it. But I think the other part of it is, if you are Mike Tomlin and you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, who would you rather face on a short week? Would you rather face Jake Browning or would you rather face Joe Flacco? Now, we all know Joe Flacco is not now
Jake Browning,
what Joe Flacco once was, but Jake Browning's the answer there. And I think that this is a guy that is annoyed that a team that is going nowhere is making his life more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah, that's understandable. I do think, though, that he and Kevin have respect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he was defending Kevin in his own way because he knows that Kevin isn't going to. Kevin was asked about this quip because he went on to do his press conference later on in the afternoon. Kevin was asked about it. Here's Daryl asking Kevin about Mike Tomlin's comments.
Mike Tomlin had some comments today in which he basically said he doesn't understand why the Browns traded their opening day starter and Joe Flacco to a division rival in the Bengals. Your thoughts on what he had to say about that and the fact that he was so taken aback, just like you acknowledged last week, you were a little surprised as well and not anticipating that you guys would trade Joe this season.
Yeah, I don't have a comment on that, Daryl.
And there's the answer on that. So he's not going to get into it because he doesn't get into anything. But
what he could have done there is he could have defended Andrew Berry and he didn't. And this whole process of trading Joe Flacco, he could have defended Andrew Berry and he has not. Like this, I think, is a significant sign of a fracture there.
He's just not going to say anything.
I mean, yes, but he didn't have to say anything, but he could have defended Andrew Berry.
Significant sign of a fracture. All right, let's do common sense here.
I don't think these two are aligned in the same way they have in the past.
Well, they're thought partners, but Lyman and I are technically thought partners too, and we get mad at each other every day, multiple times a day. Owen's a thought partner. We get mad at each other every day. But that's different. I mean, this is serious business over here, even though it's an entertainment business for them. If you are Kevin Stefanski, guys, we got to think of this through common sense. How would you feel? What's your job as a head coach, Danny?
Win as many football games as you can.
Win as many games as you possibly can. And I know that they could sit here and say this, that, and the other. Football's different. I know that there's been guys like Don Nelson that have participated in tanks and things like that before in the NBA. I get that. But when it comes to football, there's a week between the games. The season feels like it takes forever. Like you got a week between it, and now it's like, man, we're counting it down. 11 games left to go. And it can't go any quicker. And there's only one guy left to look forward to. And now we have to talk about whether or not you'd move on from him, because there was a interesting tidbit thrown out of there by one of my media brethren that I just want to kind of kick around for Danny and everybody. But either way, I think that I do firmly believe that this is Mike Tomlin in his own way defending Kevin Stefanski. If you work through it just how you would feel if you're a head coach, you've done all this, you've decided on Joe Flacco, and then a couple of weeks later, basically, he's gone. He's gone. And you say that you're surprised. The first thing you said is you were surprised, and then I understood that he kind of walked it back a little bit and said, well, you're surprised anytime these calls are made because you didn't think that the Bengals would be calling you for a quarterback and this, that, and the other, and not all that crap. And I know he went on his coach's show on Thursday, and he tried to explain it away again a little bit. He doesn't say much anyway, and he still didn't even say much with the explanations. Guys, just go with how you would feel. Just go with how you would feel. You would be upset.
Absolutely.
I'd be upset.
Absolutely, because you feel like your job is being made more difficult, a job that's already impossible this year as is with this roster.
Because, guys, clearly, we have to understand this. Clearly, you have a guy who only trusted the veteran, really only trusted the veteran. You had one of the most conservative game plans, and he's a conservative offensive guy. You had one of the most conservative game plans I think I've ever seen you roll out there with Dylan Gabriel. Then you opened up the offense, quote unquote, opened up the offense, even though what was the air yards? What was the yards per attempt? What was the yards per completion?
4.
It was like 4. So I know he dropped back 58 times, which is just ridiculous. He dropped back 58 times. I mean, when you're throwing 4 yards a pass, you're still being ultra conservative. So there's definitely a parachute. Think what you want to about Joe Flacco. There's definitely a parachute feeling with Kevin where in case this doesn't go well, I can try to go back with Joe, and Joe knows how to conduct the offense. That's why this all started. And I think the more I talk about this, now this is probably just me vomiting my own thoughts here. Kevin said he was surprised. Mike Tomlin said what he just said. I think that Mike Tomlin was in his own way defending Kevin Stefanski and thinking that what's going on over there is ridiculous. But you go back to it. Kenny Pickett was your guy. Now you're handcuffed where you got 2 pups there and you didn't know. Because remember, Kenny was the first guy that they picked up. And Kenny was the one texting guys on the night of the draft. Backups just don't do that. Right. Guys who intend to start do that. So now if you're Kevin, the guy you intended to start was jettisoned for a 5th-round pick, and then the guy you had to start because you jettisoned the guy because he had a hamstring injury, the guy that you decided to start because he's the veteran hand, the guy you decided to start has also been jettisoned for a 5th-round pick. And so now you have to go, you're forced to go with the pups. And because Dillon Gabriel looks like he's in over his head after one game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where a lot of people, and rightfully so, are doing the film breakdowns, and there's every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the world. I don't need... No offense to Coach Lance. Love Coach Lance. It's not just Coach Lance who's seen it. There's plenty of fans going back and watching the film going, what is this? Why is David Njoku just by himself? Why is Quinshon Judkins wide open underneath? That's an easy completion for a first down. Dylan, what are you not seeing? Oh, wait a minute. I know we don't want to say it, but it's true. There wasn't even pressure in the A gap in a couple of these, and he wasn't seeing the field.
Yes. It's not as if Kevin Stefanski forgot how to scheme guys open, because that has been a constant throughout his entire tenure in Cleveland. It's Dillon Gabriel's not ready for this. Shedeur Sanders probably not ready for this. There's not a quarterback on the roster that's ready for this. And Kevin Stefanski and the Browns have been put in a really bad spot. And my position on Stefanski as a coach has changed a little bit over the recent weeks in Cleveland, just how this season has gone. Mm-hmm. But it is really difficult for me to look at the hand that he has been dealt. And I would imagine he's not been pounding the table to trade away these guys that he wants to play.
True.
It's hard for me to look at this and say, yes, he's being set up to be in a successful position.
We're on YouTube right now. A lot going on in the chat. A lot of arguments. And I did see something before I get to the phones here. Browns rally possum. And Twitter reactions brought to you by Schaub and Jewelers. Social media reactions brought to you by Schaub and Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. I'm sorry. Old habits die hard. And he says, Dear Kevin Stefanski, say something. You represent our team and our fans. Stand for us. Speak from your chest, especially when the coach from Pittsburgh takes shots at our organization. Stand up and be a leader for once and say something. Sincerely, the fans. What if he agrees with him?
That's the thing. What is Kevin going to say about a guy that's truthfully defending him? Because that is what is happening here. Mike Tomlin is defending Kevin Stefanski with these comments.
Now, social media is social media. There's no room for any sort of dialogue, really, and I don't know what the tenor was of the tweet. But you could also say, well, if you agreed with him, then go ahead and say what you did. He's not going to do that.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. And I think that every man out there thinks about this emotionally and how they would stand for it. I think in his eyes, he's still got a team that he has to try to lead, whatever that may be. And we may find out afterwards, but we're not going to find out during the year. Even though the cracks are starting to show with several organizations. Some of the things that are said, Tua, we got to play those comments again later on today, where Tua was taking shots at his own teammates after their loss to the Chargers on Sunday, talking about how they're not coming to meetings and they're showing up late for things. And that's what a guy's got to do. And I think at some point you reach your boiling point. And I think that a lot of fans are like, okay, well, and I'm implying something that this person might not even be trying to imply. But I think that's either A, take a shot at him because it's Pittsburgh talking against Cleveland, or B, and this might be more likely because I'm just trying to think of it logically, if you disagree with what Andrew's done, speak up and say something for yourself.
Right, but you're not going to do that as Kevin Stefanski.
Because then you have that many more questions you have to answer that you don't want to answer.
It becomes a much messier situation, because this situation has gotten very messy. I think it's fair to say. Nobody's happy in that building right now. Nobody should be happy. Nobody that watches this team is happy about it. No. And I think doing that just adds more fuel to that fire, which if you're Kevin Stefanski, that's the last thing you want to do, because he doesn't want to be dealing with any of this, I would imagine, right? I would imagine that he had a vision for this season that is much different than what has happened through the first 6 games. So he doesn't want to add more fuel to that fire to make his situation worse. And the way he could have done that is by saying, you know what? Mike is right. I don't understand what Andrew Berry has been thinking all year. After the draft, I don't get what Andrew Berry has done. Could he be right about that? Could he be how he feels?
Do you
Maybe,
want
but
him to do that?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I don't. But if you are asking for him to come up and say something, that's what he'd say. And he's not going to do that. He shouldn't do that. But I would bet that's how he feels.
The only thing I could think of is if he feels that way, if he's truly, and I think he was surprised, and I think that when Mike Tomlin says what he says, let's get the Mike Tomlin audio in one more time. Someone just got it in the car. This is yesterday morning, Mike Tomlin in his initial press conference with the media getting ready for the post game of what happened with the Browns and then getting ready for the Cincinnati Bengals.
You know, to be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
Now, if he flat out agreed with Mike Tomlin and decided to go scorched earth on it, he better know, if we're going to play this game, he better know that his team feels the exact same way. He better understand.
Well,
yes.
Ian,
let me just play real quick. People forget we had press conferences last week. This is Kevin Stefanski last Wednesday. Flacco was traded on Tuesday. Wednesday, after the trade, his first time to speak, this was him. He brought up that the Bengals called them, and this is what he said about Andrew Berry.
AB makes those decisions. I trust AB. We talk about every decision we make. They wanted Joe. They made the phone call. Obviously, it gives Joe an opportunity to go play again, but I trust in our decisions.
What's he going to come out and say on Sunday different? Is he going to walk up to the podium and go, you see, Andrew, did you see what happened when you traded away the quarterback who he wasn't going to start anyway?
He's also saying in that clip that he didn't make this decision, and so it's on Andrew. Right. He's definitely putting that on Andrew. So Mike Tomlin is sitting there saying, hey, I'm Andrew Berry must be smarter than all of us because I don't know why you would do that, trying to think through it. Now, there's plenty of people out there that probably don't think very much of what Joe Flacco has left in the tank. We'll see. But still, if you wanted to say something, say that he traded Joe without your knowledge, or you just didn't want to trade Joe and he still made the move. You better make sure the team around you feels the exact same way, and you guys can get in the foxhole together. I mean, that would be Jim Fossil pushing all the chips in type of moves there, because when you say something like that, you are not just forcing yourself to answer more questions. You're forcing everybody on your team in media to answer questions. So now Jerry Jeudy and his media availability has to answer it. And your current quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, would have to answer it. And everybody else would have to answer it. And you're trying to, the more you talk about it, the more you see it's probably not the best idea to say anything right now, because it's like, okay, you clearly don't have trust in Dylan Gabriel then to throw if you're that upset that Joe Flacco's been taken out. You have to at least feign confidence in Dylan Gabriel to try to move this thing forward.
Well, and if you say something like that, you damn sure better start winning, and you better start winning right away, because if you say something like that and then you go out and lose to the Dolphins on Sunday at 1-6, you're gone. Like, you are not coaching another game. And if he loses on Sunday, maybe he's fired, maybe he's not. I don't know. We can get to that at a certain point. But if you make those type of comments that very clearly show that there are cracks in the foundation, you better be the one that can stitch that back together. Right. Because if you don't win, then you're gone. Because that shows, okay, not in agreement with the general manager here. The general manager probably going to be in the owner's ear saying, we got to get rid of this guy, right? Like, that is going to be the thing that happens. So if you do that, and I think Kevin's job is already on the line, but it turns that heat up to 10.